welcome back to another episode of What I Don't Know. I just filtered all of the questions by newest and then unanswered and tagged with JavaScript and React.js. This is the first question, and I already took a look into this. Looks legit, so I will try to understand what's going on and then help, alright? So let's start. How to load an HTML to a variable in next-config.js. I use standard next plus electron.js to jumpstart my project. In one particular case, I need to read the file template HTML to variable string, so I think I'll use fs read file sync. When I use import fs from fs, the compiler complains that fs is not available. I refer to this module not found, cannot resolve fs in Next.js application. The accepted answer on that thread recommends me to update the next-config.js file into. So this is Next.js config file, and basically what he's doing is he's overriding the webpack config. So he's getting the config, and there's a context object here which has a property is server, and basically what he does is he's checking if it's not a server, then he sets fs to empty for node, and then returning the config. But the solution doesn't work for me. So here he is doing import fs from fs, and then in it looks like either some kind of a function or a component content fs read file sync, right? So what's wrong here? And the error says and then unhandled runtime error. So first of all, this is runtime error, right? And what that means it's and looking into this components data table generate PDF TS, it looks like that's a component, data table component. And also that means that first of all, Next.js is a server-side, or it's a server-side framework, React framework, but server-side doesn't mean it's not running on the client. Server-side means that it renders the application or a piece of application, for example, a page on the server. It returns the HTML to the server, and then when everything is returned, including all the JavaScript, React then tries to go through the HTML that was rendered and then attached event listeners, hydrate the rendered HTML, meaning checking if it's the same and so on and so forth. So it doesn't render it the second time, but it still goes through it. But then when you navigate between pages, most likely, and I'm not sure what is the setup, but you might have either full server-side rendering when every single page is server-side rendered, or you might have a hybrid when the initial page is server-side rendered and then you navigate between pages as it would be VPA. And if that's true, that means that this code will run on the client side. So the immediate problem I see is that we are using fs module which is file system native or Node.js native module responsible for working with file system. And apparently we don't have, first of all, it's a Node module, and second, we don't have access to file system from our browser, unless we're talking like uploading things. So that's alarming. I think that what this does is basically tells Webpack that we want to use file system on the server side only. And if it's not server, the file system module will be empty. So Webpack understands that we probably will not use it on the client and will not complain, right? But as we can see here, it still is rendered on the client, and client basically says, I'm sorry, fs. So it says, as you can see, fs webpack imported module 3 default a read file sync is not a function. So most likely because webpack replace the files fs module with some stub or something like that, like empty object or whatever, and apparently read file sync is not a function. So that's what I think is going on here. I'm gonna answer, and I hope that helps. By the way, one solution to this problem is to not render this component on the client side at all, or let me see. So we want to, I'm not sure why we are trying to get the template HTML here. I'm not sure, because I don't know what this app is about. Similar to variable. Anyway, let's try to answer the question. I think the problem is that you are trying to use a fast module which is Node.js native module on the client side. The webpack config you've added tells the webpack to ignore fs module for the client or replace it with the stub. So so let me see, the webpack config you've added tells webpack change tells webpack to ignore fs module for the client, but you are still trying to use it. The error, so let me think how to explain it better. Okay, one way to work around this is to render your component only on server side. I'm not sure honestly how to do it. I know I did it when I was working with Next.js probably like 1.5 years ago or maybe 2 years ago, but honestly I don't remember how to do it. There was some tricky way. You know what, we can try to Next.js. We can try to find that in the documentation, so we actually help features. Previous Next.js live CLI. You know what? It's changed. Get the demo. Why Versal? Previous. Okay, this is something strange. Next.js documentation. Let's find this. Okay, that's Next.js org. All right. So server-side rendering only. Pre-rendering to phone might be the only option. Streaming SSR, components or libraries. Let me see next. Trying to find Or maybe I'll ask Google. Stack Overflow. Let's go back to the Stack Overflow and try to find it. Render next.js component on the server only. How to server-side render static pages? No, not that stuff. Anyway, can't find it, unfortunately. Maybe I'll find it offline and then show it to you guys. But let's continue answering the question for now. So one way to work around this is to render your component on the server side only. Don't remember how to do it though. What else? What else can we do here? But honestly, generally, it is bad idea to try to load read files templates on the client side. Yeah, basically that's it. I'm not sure what I can add more to this. Alright, guys. Alright, so I'm gonna post this and please tell me in the comments what do you think about this question and what do you think about the answer. I tried to explain as much as I can what the problem might be. So I really want to hear from you guys and see you next episode. Bye. I just found a way to in the Next.js documentation how to render a component on the server. It looks like it's an alpha feature, but still it is possible, and potentially there's other ways to do it as well. Again, I don't remember how to do it, but this it looks like it. So React Server Components allows us to render React components on the server. This is fundamentally different from server-side rendering, where you're pre-generating HTML on the server. With server components, there's zero client-side JavaScript needed. So basically, we do everything on the server, and we don't need to do anything on the client. I think this might help. So I'm gonna add that to my answer. Let me click edit and wait because it's loading. Not sure what's happening. Why? Okay, we're here. So one way to work around this is to render your component on the server side only. Please read this documentation. And forgot to add hope this helps message. All right, that's it, guys. And as always, see you next time. Bye.